This is the second video in a 3-part series giving you a peek behind the scenes of my book, Finding the Energy to Thrive, Navigating the Maze of Life and Embracing Your Path to Wholeness. I'm Katie Dean, the founder of the company Find My Energy, and I help people to recover from burnout, chronic fatigue, and the purpose of this book is to support you in that journey. The book's available both in paperback and on Kindle. It's published on the 29th of May 2025. And in this video, I'm going to be answering 3 questions that are sharing key insights I gained for recovery, what it really means to be thriving. Little spoiler alert here, the answer to that may not be what you think. So enjoy. Well, as I was trying to sort of sum up everything that I learned on my journey, I think one of the biggest things that came through to me is that there is no one single solution, no one single journey that everyone must go on. So for me, trying to sort of say, oh, right, here's a 10-step recovery plan, just wasn't realistic or genuinely helpful. That's not to say that there aren't steps that will be helpful for most people. There will also be steps that are helpful for some people and steps that really only help 1 or 2 people. But all of those are relevant. And I didn't feel that I, or indeed truthfully any other practitioner, can sit down and say, for each individual, right, this is the step that you need to take. Really, my journey, and I feel everyone else's, is about coming into awareness of yourself, what is happening in your body, and then pairing that up with an awareness of the different options that are available. So you have this understanding of, okay, option A over here is really effective at dealing with this problem. So then it's right, is that a problem that I'm experiencing? If it is, then maybe I'll give option A a try. Option B, on the other hand, that's brilliant if this is the problem, but is that something I'm experiencing? So it's really a way of taking all this incredible information and research that different individuals have done, and rather than looking for the one solution that fits all, it's putting together your perfect roadmap that is going to serve you. So for some people out there, almost everything they need is going to be working with the physical body. It's going to be maybe adjusting your diet, getting a better sleep routine in, and so on. There will be other people where the physical elements are already in place, but perhaps there's a lot of underlying trauma, and so really you're working more with the emotions, with the nervous system, and that's getting into the energy body, interestingly. So it was really important to me to be able to explain this. I mean, it is a complex chronic illness, and on the face of it, the solution could be complex, but taking it in its most simplistic form, it's really going, well, here's the landscape of options that are available. Let's look inside and understand what is going on in your body, and then you can make informed choices about which options you're pulling in and when you're doing that. And yes, some of that will be guided by the practitioners offering those options, but it's also about coming back and tuning in. Your body already has everything it needs to heal itself. It's really a case of you managing to get out of its way and just support it as it evolves. It's as simple as that. So yes, that's why it didn't feel really in alignment for me to try and write a book that says, right, here are the 10 steps you need to take, because I might hit upon the best 10 steps for some people, but there will be others that are not helped by those 10 steps. And it's just very difficult when you're the one trying to figure out how to get your energy back, picking up books or going to webinars of people saying, yes, I've got all the answers here, and then discovering that, well, they may be the answers for somebody else, but they're not the answers for you. So really, again, this book is about trying to empower people to go on their own journey, but with a lot of support and compassion and a sense of safety through that process. Well, everything that I've just said about trying to support people to tune into themselves and then be able to match their own needs to whatever is on offer, that goes beyond healing from chronic fatigue syndrome or any other chronic illness. It's much wider than that. It actually, in a way, applies to everything in life. Whatever problem we're coming up against in whatever field, whether it's a relationship challenge, a career challenge, or a health issue, we cannot solve a problem until we understand it. So for me, the practice of journaling is kind of twofold. Part of it is actually about self-awareness. There's something about just sitting there with pen in your hand and starting to write, and eventually you get into a flow and you will find yourself writing things that you didn't even realize you were thinking. So you're creating this vehicle for understanding what's going on inside your mind. And that's an amazing reference point for you to then be able to really understand what it is that you need. And the second part of this is that we have an awful lot floating around in our conscious mind. I mean, I'm sure you've all been in that situation where you're kind of struggling to work out how to deal with a problem, and that's all that's going round and round in your thoughts. You're trying to get to sleep at night and your brain is just switching on to, what am I going to do about this? Well, journaling is a way of actually sort of downloading that information from your brain and getting it out of your body in a funny kind of a way. There's something literally biological about this, about the parts of the brain that are engaged when we're writing stuff down, that is literally creating a shift in your energy. So you've got this dual thing going on. You're actually shifting that kind of stress from your body onto something external, in this case a piece of paper. And in that process, you are probably also opening up more awareness, which will give you a few aha moments and hopefully help you to find some clearer paths forward for whatever it is that you are currently struggling to navigate. Well, that's a very interesting question. Maybe I'll start with some of the misconceptions. So I think in society in general, we're kind of entrained to equate thriving and success and terms like that with material things. So you might think someone is thriving because they're living in a fancy mansion, driving sports cars, going on exotic holidays, and so on. But to me, that's not necessarily thriving, because you can be doing all those things and at the same time be completely miserable and lost inside yourself. So when I'm thinking of thriving now, and when I'm talking about the experience of thriving, it's really an experience of being deeply connected to who I am and what I need. And from that space, I'm just able to live life in a way that is more peaceful. There's always going to be challenges coming up in life. So we're not ever trying or actually going to succeed in getting to a space where every single day everything is perfect. it just doesn't happen that way. And it wouldn't be right, because there's something about human beings that we're maybe a little bit lazy. We don't grow unless we're hit with a challenge. So if everything was rosy, you just kick back and enjoy the experience and not grow. And when you're not growing, you're stagnating. And when you're stagnating, that is eventually going to come down to death, to put it in the worst possible frame. So for me, thriving is finding a space of peace where, even though challenges still come through in my life, I feel like I've got tools to deal with them, and I know how I can create the space to tune back into myself and find the resources that I need to take me through with as much ease and grace as I can muster. And yeah, that's a journey that I'm always going to be on, always expanding to the levels of peace that I can experience and the ease with which I can rise up to challenges. But the more I do that, the more I'm actually able to thrive truly, no matter what life is throwing at me.